Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday and the Grounds with Giles, Jones, Schlegel, and Cappuccino. As you know, Jones is hiding behind the camera over there because he is just too pretty for us.
Got a face for radio.
He's got a face for radio.
His handshake's kind of pretty too.
Yeah. Well, welcome in, everybody. I hope you had an awesome week. We are ready to start the weekend, right? And regain some peace and serenity, maybe. Isn't that what the weekend does for us?
Morning. Sure.
Like I was going to say, sure, maybe.
It's all work for me.
Hey, quick shout out. Let's take care of some business here. Our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. If you are stressed, you've got, you just need a nice massage. And this is a massage that won't get you any kids. And this is...
So you say
these are licensed massage therapists, hot stone, deep tissue, sports, couple massages, you name it. If you carry your stress in between your shoulder blades or anywhere on your back, which a lot of people do, check out John and his team, www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190, and bang, you're there. And look, another great thing is if you know somebody who does, it's a great gift. Get them the gift of a serious, massage.
If you've never had one, it's amazing how much they actually do relax. And people are like, "That's crazy." It's like, well, go try it once, see what happened.
That's right.
You can't knock it till you try it. That's the old adage there for sure.
That's right.
They are amazing. So go check them out, guys.
That's it. And Heather, good morning. Don, good morning. Tim Santos is in. Good morning, brother. Glad to have you here. Nice. Oh, hey, thank you. It was an incredible win. Number 13 knocks out number 3 ranked in the playoffs. March Madness, right? Or February Madness.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys did?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, nice work, man.
That just shows your talent as a coach, man. You're motivating those girls, those ladies. I mean, I watched you last week. You guys are doing well. You guys are doing well.
The ladies earned that one. No NFL players allowed, right? That's
not yet.
Yeah. Right. Hey, you know what we wanted to talk about today is what happens when you catch your dream or your dream comes true. Do you bask in it? Is life good, or are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? And I don't. You always hear chase your dreams, but nobody ever says this is what you do when you catch it or you're living it.
It's funny you say that because that when we started talking about this, that like really resonated with me. Like, what do you do when you catch your dreams? I'm like, I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, but for me, I mean, I thought about it actually quite deeply, and I'm actually really happy that you did, because realistically, I think I've really been looking at it. I have, like, as a childhood, I have hit most of the dreams that I really wanted, but never realized it because I'm just too focused on next, right? Yeah. So I haven't been, well, I guess I bask in it a little bit because I do enjoy myself and do things, but it's like I never even realized that these things were actually happening, that they were there. I was so, I don't even know what the word would, oblivious, right? That wow, when as a kid, I mean, we grow up, we have the dream, right? I want to have a family, I want to have kids, I want to own a car, whatever, right?
Or 25 of them, whatever.
Or all right, or 25, whichever comes first, right? But you know what I mean?
And he's got his Mustang out there today. That's it. All right.
But for me, it was really, I started thinking, I'm going, wow, like I kind of, you hear people come up, which drives me nuts. Hey, how's it going? Living the dream. Yeah. It's like, I want to hit people that say that because, that's obviously the complete opposite. But I mean, I feel like I kind of really am in a lot of respects, and I don't realize that until I slow down and start thinking about it. A lot of the things that I had as a kid, as a dream, have actually come to fruition, not without hard work and problems and shit like that. Right. But for me, you ask if you bask or you keep going. I think I just have constantly kept going, right? Not sitting to bask in it and pay attention to it, not realizing it's there until somebody actually asks you that question. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's the Grounds. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. There it is.
Well, it's for, and it's that, like I said, for me, it really made me think, because do we even think, what the dreams are and when they actually do come true? Do we actually put not limits, but ways to gauge it, right? Like, did you hit that part, or is it there? You know, how
Yeah,
do you,
so, like,
go ahead.
when you have goals, right? Like, it depends on goals or dreams. I tend to think of dreams as like an overarching, like, what I want to achieve in my life, and I don't know if I would necessarily be able to recognize it. I think it's one of those. It's about the journey, not the destination things. It's kind of why you wake up every day and you live with appreciation for the things that you have, is because you don't necessarily have an aha moment where you wake up. Now, goals, on the other hand, there are metrics, right? I set a goal. I set a system of metrics so I can track my progress towards said goal. And I will allow myself at those metric marks to stop and be like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I've reached this part. I can stop. I can look back. I can say, this is how much I've accomplished. And when it's done, I can do the same thing. And then you move forward. You're on to the next thing. It's an ever continuing path.
So that's what Bob says. And good morning, Bob. Glad to have you with us. When your dreams come true, you set new dreams and goals. And Don says, agreed. So that's what you're saying. You know, when you're living the dream, quote unquote, your dream, you're like, let's dream bigger. Let's go get more goals. Let's do more things.
Yeah. If you wake up and you feel a little aimless, maybe it's time for a new dream or a new goal or.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, well, you know, I think dreams are ever evolving, and so I like how you put it. So, you know, the dream is a fantasy word for the end result of your goal list, and so you're like, you know, once I can do this, I'm gonna do this, right? But you need a tier of goals in order to reach that dream. And I think even when you get halfway through your goals, your dream's already evolving to something else or making a bigger prospect of such goals. So I think, you know, it never ends. It's continuous. And yeah, your dream can change. Somebody told me once, they're like, no matter what you believe to be true in your heart, no matter what, one day will change, because life isn't static, it's dynamic. So it's ever changing. So if you have a dream and you want to chase it, you start going after it, you build your list of goals to get to it. And as you're going through your goals, you notice that your dream's slightly adjusting or growing into something else. So I think it's just ongoing.
Right. Well, I mean, like for me, saying like I'm living the
Excuse
dream.
me. Could you speak into the microphone so the people out there
Sorry.
could hear you? Yeah.
For like me saying living the dream, right? Those were dreams that
Just
for
move
me.
the microphone over in front of your mouth. You moved up and then you started talking away from the microphone again.
Can you shut your phone off?
I don't know
What are we
why-
This is
doing?
your first week here.
I know, right?
Welcome to new guy.
Welcome to new guys. I'm good.
SG, everybody.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead and send those emails. But you know,
info at 216.
that's right. That's right. But a lot of the dreams that I'm talking about were childhood dreams, right? Things that as a kid that you felt were what the things that you want, like society told you want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to do this, you want to do that, right?
Yeah.
And those were the things that as a kid I aspired to, right? Those were my dreams, right? To have a wife, to have kids, whatever. And I've hit those, but like you say, it's constantly moving those dreams. And I think that's why for me, I never really sat back and realized, okay, these are the dreams that were as a kid that have come true, but there's still other ones that I'm chasing.
Well, because you realize when you're a kid, everything seems scripted until you're old enough to realize that life is unscripted. It's not about that white picket fence all the time. It's not about you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you get a job, you stick with the same job for the next,
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Well, that's the dream
retired.
society was selling you, right?
That's that's a hand-me-down from generations through time. But when you get to a certain age, you're like, it doesn't have to be that way. It's unscripted, right? So you decide that you want to do this instead, and so you start going towards that dream, and then you start building towards it with your list of goals.
Yeah. So Bob chimes in and says dreams are more about imagination, while goals require commitment and effort to accomplish. And we can get into the schematics of things, right? But I truly think that that dreams are way different than goals.
Yeah.
And people with a business mind or a business mindset will always talk goals, right? I have a big dream. I want to be the next Amazon. But then I've got business plan. I've got business goals. They're the stepping stones, whatever. Right. I think they're two totally different things. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a dream without a goal. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, right.
You can have goals
achieve
without a dream, but and then Shana's good morning sister says, do you feel guilty if your goal chasing is more fruitful than your friends? Have you ever got there and were sad the chase was over on that goal?
Well, that's a good question. Well, two of them really, but do you feel guilty if you're chasing is more fruitful than your friends?
Never.
I'm gonna say no.
No.
I don't know why I would feel guilty.
I don't feel bad when my friend does better than me. So I don't feel bad when I do better than my friend. I put my head down every day and I work my ass off. I can't say the same is true for my friend. I don't know what they're doing. And I don't know what's going on in their life. So I don't compare at all.
They say comparison is the thief of all joy, that type of thing. And you don't know. I mean, I'm happy when my friends, are successful and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't make me sad, but it's kind of like, for me, it's like, why didn't you hit your goal? What were you say? You don't know what you're doing, but for me, it's like, well, why didn't they? Is there something that, that could help them to get to it because you were successful, at least at this point. Right. And you might fall later. And that's where, for me, it's like, I'm there to help because, well, that's just me, but also down the way, I'm giving people knowledge. Hopefully they can use it to do better. And hopefully someday I'll get knowledge from somebody else that can help me to keep moving forward. So, I mean, that is a good question.
I feel that there's a win almost as a family or a team when my friends do well and better than me. It's still a win for me because they're close to me and I want to see them win. Are there times where I'm like, man, that would have been, I probably should have, or who doesn't? You're human, right?
I was gonna say you're human.
You're human. But at the end, I don't ever feel sad or compare myself to anybody. As a matter of fact, if I have friends that are struggling with their goal and I'm already succeeding, it's like, hey, what can I do to help you with your goal to get there? So it's a mutual win. I guess that's perspective on how people live their lives, right? Not everybody's the same. So
right.
Yeah.
100%.
I live my life. Garth Brooks has a song called "The River," right? And it's absolutely. I have my kids listen to it when they're young. The whole works. I'm a dreamer. I push for dreams, right? And it's it just says the dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and the dreamer is just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, but never knowing what's in store.
Isn't that like a tattoo you have?
Makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in there it says, you can dare to dance the tides, you can choose to chance the rapids, but don't sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. I've got that part of the song tattooed on me because I don't ever want to just sit on the shore and go, ha, I made it, right? And watch other people cruise down that river, but the entire thing, that song is choose to chance the rapids, dare to dance the tides. You don't know what's coming. And dream, it's not happily ever after. It's not, right? When you're living your dream, it isn't easy. It's a grind. It's a grind. And you're going to hit rapids, right? And the tide's going to raise and lower. And you've got to be able to navigate those things. But the worst thing that I think you could ever do is jump off the river, sit on the shore and go, yeah. Right. And we see it a lot. We see a lot of parents that have busted their ass and created businesses, right? And that was their dream. And then they hand it to their kids, and their kids have just been on the shoreline going, yay.
Well,
the business fails.
I think it's okay to hit that shoreline and accept reward for the hard work you've done.
Yeah.
But then you got to get back on the boat.
Just don't sit there.
You know what I mean? You got to get back on the boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch a few of your friends go by and be like, "Hey, your paddle's to the left."
Right.
So there's
that shit's Creek without a paddle.
That's right.
Great show. Absolutely. Great actors. When I think a lot of the world has forgotten how to dream. We get so caught up in goals. We get so caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, right? That
No pun intended.
right,
Well,
right.
maybe, just-
Yeah, I always tell people, hey, you ain't got to run very fast for that. But we've become, America was great and built on dreams, right? And now it's not. And now this society, this country, I look at Steve and go, you can't have that. You can't have that. Because I'm not work. I don't have a dream. You can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many people fighting against you that we look at you and say, you're weird for thinking that, Steve. What? Come on, listen.
You guys just need to see Kent's face as he's
Right.
calling him weird. I love it.
Well,
Weird.
Right? Well, it is, right?
No, I get it. I love it. And
You
you're
know?
not wrong by any stroke of the mean at
Right.
all.
you notice too, though, that when you're young, you chase your dreams, but when you're older, you don't want to run anymore. So you just kind of walking around looking for them. Because you get tired. If your dream's constantly evolving, and it turns into a different dream, then you got to go after that. But you already know what it takes because you already went through A through Z once, right?
Yeah.
So that gets hard,
Well,
man. It gets really tired.
And a lot of times, if you had to struggle really hard to accomplish something, it's very easy to say I want other people to have to struggle, but it's also very
Yeah.
easy to say I went through this, I struggled, so now I don't want anybody else to have to struggle.
Right.
And it is two distinct mindsets. One of the biggest instances I can think of right now to explain this, and this is so funny. So Sam paid off all of her student loans.
Oh, good.
Because she
For
did
her.
so, she is against student loan forgiveness. And it's not because she doesn't think other
Yeah.
people should. It's
Right.
because she already paid it off.
Yeah.
So in her mind, she was totally for it, but then hers were paid off. And now she doesn't want it because it's not fair. And she's not wrong, but also that mindset doesn't necessarily track.
The rules of the game changed.
Right. They did. They changed.
Because I'll tell you this: if they would have had that when I had student loans, I'd have been first in line. Like, whoop whoop.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
right,
remember
but-
me.
But the rules of the game were it's not going to be, so I had to work hard to pay it off,
100%.
and that's just that to me, that's just the rules of the game.
Yep.
I tell my kids, I'm like, if they're gonna get rid of it, get rid of it. And I'm a banker, right, by trade. So, hey, you signed a contract, you fulfill that contract. Now,
That's
if the
right.
bank goes, you know what, we're going to forgive that contract, that's up to the bank, right? I mean, so I'm the same way. But I tell people, I'm like, go for it. If you can take advantage of that, and you're not going to get penalized for it, hallelujah, yes.
100%. Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
student loans are the
Yeah.
only one.
Anyway,
loans that are
the
unforgiving.
colleges should pay that shit off because they're the ones who got the money. Anyway, never mind.
100%.
Yeah, we'll do it
100%.
next
Yeah.
week on the grounds. Yeah, colleges and their funds.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah, they're going to transfer it, quote unquote. But I think a lot of times, a lot of mentality is, I'm not deserving of what's happening to me right now, and the other shoe is going to drop. Something's going to happen to take this away from me. So instead of enjoying and reveling in it and riding the river, I'm waiting for that hole in my boat.
So you're saying that ruins your moment of celebration of otherwise reflecting back and being like, yeah, I did awesome because you're too busy being like, all right, well, what do I have to do to keep it?
Well, if you don't
Yeah.
feel you're worthy, if you don't feel it, I mean, that's a self-worth thing, right? What you're just mentioning there. If you get to it and you don't appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's an internal issue, right? That's more of a self-worth and a self-esteem. And that's something the person,
Well, understanding that your dream has come true and that you're living in it is also self-realization, right? I mean,
but you're saying
that's an
that
internal thing,
it's right, but you were saying that you can't enjoy it. You were saying
So
that you can't enjoy it.
I'm going to pick on one of the listeners. I'm going to pick on Tim Santos a little bit because he's a good friend of ours. When you asked him when he was 18, what was his dream? It wasn't to be one of the best marketplace insurance agents in Illinois or the country. It wasn't to have a family-run business with he and his wife killing it, right? It wasn't to give back to. I'm putting words in his mouth, but it probably wasn't to give back to the community the way that they do, right? But to watch these two individuals absolutely slaying it and living in their dream and doing things while they're in it is motivational to me, right? I'm watching Scott, watching Drew, right? Watching Steve as he's chasing his dream and working hard for it, and getting caught in those rapids for a little bit. That's motivational to me because I celebrate that. I'm like, how cool is it, right? And I'll be honest with you, there are times, because I am human, where I'm like, lucky fuckers, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
All been there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but then I have to step back and go, man, it's cool to be able to see them, stay between the shores on this, and ride that, stay in that river as long as you possibly can. Right?
Well, with saying that though, likewise between me to you, with what you're doing, I mean, you're chasing your dreams right now, and those are really popping out, right? I mean, you're blessed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watching you, it seems to be the happiest you've been in a long time, right? Because your dream is popping right now.
I'm
I love
fortunate.
that.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy. And I don't say you motherfuckers. I'm like, yes, because you can see that, it takes you to a different level, right? It's a different energy inside your body. And that's when you hit that level and that energy, things actually do change, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes the struggle becomes easier.
Yeah.
Right. Or more manageable.
I love what Shayna says. It's a struggle to let people you love struggle. But there are often gifts in the struggle. That's a bumper sticker. Right? I mean, that's a t-shirt. And that's so true.
That is unbelievably
right?
true.
Steve has become a really good friend of mine, and I'm watching him chase, fight, scrap. And then I get mad when he gets mad. You know what I mean? But it excites me because he's young, and then when it pops, it's going to be huge. And I know that you call it wisdom or whatever, or watching enough people fight for it, right? Drew, a lot of people don't know he runs a global business. Understand that, right? That probably wasn't his dream when he was detailing boats.
No.
You know what I mean? And to watch his grind and what he's done here at 216 Creator Studios, so from taking a hobby and making it a kick-ass business, and learning from that, right? And how do you get out of that plateau when you're in your dream? And we'll use 216 for example. Is 216 was a hobby, and it plateaued. And we were happy with it because there was no money. It didn't cost us anything to be in it, right? And then Drew saw it and goes, "Hey, let's take it up 3 levels," And so the interesting thing is, he came and said, "Get off the shore, get back in the water," and now 216 Creator Studios DDOE is starting to slay it. I mean, we are now. We've got people from around the globe calling to want to do shows beyond shows, and not just Gary from Singapore,
Right.
And that's because I told Drew when he came in as partner, I'm like, this is crack, bro. It's gonna be crazy, and now he's like, wow, I bumped into this, and everything's a show, everything's an idea now.
Yep.
And his brain just doesn't turn off, and that's part of being in that river.
Yep.
Right. Let the water splash up on you and go, oh, this. And it's fun to be around people who want to stay in that river, want to stay in that dream.
It's exciting.
And just go, I don't know when it's going to spill into the ocean, but it's going to spill into the ocean, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, they're going for the ride, and they're enjoying that ride. And every bump that you hit or every rapid that you hit, it changes things. And
the struggle of anything is part of the journey, and it's an education and gaining strength. So if you're viewing your struggle as this is just not happening, then you're never going to gain. You're never going to take that next rung on the ladder. Yeah. If you look at your struggle like, I'm going to get through this, and then the next time a struggle happens, I'm a little bit stronger and know how to deal with it. It's based on experience. As an entrepreneur, nobody really realizes what it takes to be an entrepreneur. They say they're entrepreneurs, but they don't understand the struggle and the sacrifice that has to go along with it. and it's, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I can choose my own schedule. No, listen, that liability is 100% on you at all times. Even we'll take 216 as an example. It's like, listen, building it off of a hobby, and then trying to create the awareness, and then trying to create the logistics, and then trying to create and then throw money at it. It's a grind and a struggle to where, thanks for the sleepless nights. And you want it because now you're invested, right? Not just financially, but mentally, and it's got to work because other people are depending on it as well. So, that's the progress from other businesses that I've had to where I have failed and gone, what did I do wrong? And I don't look back at it as a big failure. I look at it as my education. People pay big dollars to go to school, and they got to pay off these loans. There's no different here. Yeah. It's an education that you're paying for, no matter how you look at it. So
this one just might be in different situations instead of actual money, right?
And
that is actually, for me, that's how I learned. That's for me, learning through school and reading and stuff was not really anywhere near my forte.
Yep.
I'm much better now, but I've always learned by doing, watching, or being told what to do, and then just doing it myself and screwing it up and going, all right, well, dumbass, that didn't work. Let's try a different menu, right? Or let's talk to somebody that, hit that rapid and made it through. Yeah. How'd you get through it? And hopefully they'll tell you. The people that don't tell you, it's like, well, peace out.
The tough guy isn't the one that hits hard. The tough guy is the one that keeps getting up from getting hit hard. And that's the education.
Yeah, it's the resilience.
100%.
So I love what Heather says. I struggled for years, single mom, trying to make ends meet. I didn't even realize my dream for that time came true until Steve told me many years later that he didn't even know we were poor.
It's true. Yeah, I didn't know anything. We were growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and there were times when I ate because my mom fed me and she did not eat. And I didn't know these things until I was an adult. And I was like, hey, you remember when we did silly dinners, which was just yogurt with granola and raisin on top? And she's like, well, yeah, it was like a 30-cent dinner. So that's, but like she made it so much fun. She called them silly dinners. I was like, I would ask for it every night. And like once a month, she'd be like, fine, we could do, and then she'd be like, thank God he wants to do them so much. It's a 30-cent dinner. You know what I mean?
Right. Simple kid, please.
Now here, I want, if you're just tuning in, he is sitting down, but Steve ain't a little fella.
Yeah, no, I know
he's like 6'5", and he ain't. There was a lot of yogurt and granola going in that, brother. I'll tell you.
Well, let me give props to Heather for that.
Yeah,
but that's amazing, because to do that and have, and to not let your kid know that you're struggling and to make it a game. How inventive and how creative, and just, that's the way it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But and I felt like an idiot when I was as an adult, like talking to her about that. And then she's, common sense. Like, why do you think we did that? And I was like, I never stopped to think about it once in my entire life, my entire childhood, all through adulthood until this conversation. I've never stopped once to be like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Logically.
There was a time, when, in the late 90s, when we came out to Illinois to start the coffee shop, right? And we lived in Section 8 housing, right? We were fortunate. And as Ashley was going through her master's degree, people were like, oh, it was, hey, you're white, you're privileged. But I go, bullshit. I said, tell them, for 7 years, you lived in Section 8 housing. She goes, we did what? I go, absolutely. We had food stamps. We had everything. We did what?
Oh, she didn't even know that?
You guys did. It was a kid. She shouldn't.
Right. And right.
Right. And she was blown away because, whoa,
Could you imagine?
I didn't know.
Could you imagine some parents that would be like this? Yeah, we're on Section 8 kids, so you got to eat a little bit differently today. How about, no, we're eating today. That's a beautiful thing.
It's funny.
Doesn't matter where it's coming from.
Because my parents didn't have money either, but we're Italian. It doesn't look like I missed a day of eating.
That's because they know how to cook all the leftovers.
They made food from scratch, though, and it was cheap enough to do, and there was always enough to feed 12, but we were 4.
And Italians never let somebody go hungry.
That's right.
No.
Nobody's going
offended if you don't take food. You want to eat? No.
Third
what you
serving,
mean you don't want to eat?
You have to get up from the table and walk away if you're done. Otherwise, they'll keep coming.
No, it's even at a restaurant. If somebody's still hungry, it's like order more. Like if you're, we're not leaving until you're full.
You're good.
Like
Eat. And if you don't eat it all in the third run, they're like, "What's the matter? You didn't like it?
Yeah,
right.
My cookie's not good enough."
Well,
for you?"
so-
Hey, what's up with you?
Look, I don't think for a second that Drew ain't like that. That brother calls his neighbors, Nico, hey buddy, I got some leftovers.
Hey, cook a little extra.
You
Come
know?
on by.
Oh yeah,
My-
I make that kid food every day.
Dude,
my
that's
dad,
great.
And
my
he
dad
gives
was
me food. He's like, hey, I cooked some neck bones and I did some things, and I'm like, what a neck is the best food ever.
Cooking neck bone.
I don't know what that is, but I wanted to rub it
delish.
on my nipples.
Delicious.
It's
Oh
good.
wow.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
My dad, he
Allegedly.
would do that Italian thing, you know. He cooks a big family meal, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, right? Piles your plate high. Then when your plate is almost empty, he's giving you shit. He starts passing things toward you, like, all right, well, there's more of this. This is your I made this for you. Like you're having your first round. Now he's telling you what's on the table that you would like, now that he's piled a huge plate for you. Right. So you're on your second one, and he's like, you're not gonna have, I made this for you.
Right.
And it's like, well, right, I already had some. He's like, great, but I made it for you.
Right.
So then you're sitting there and you're shoving corn casserole in your
sweating.
face, and you're just sweat pouring down the side. You're choking on a sweet potato, and you're just like, oh, so good, thanks, Dad.
I'll have more.
And he's just like, all right, cool. And then if you leave even a bite left, he's like, that Italian thing. What? It wasn't good? You didn't like it?
Yeah.
No,
Should
I'm
I
ready first.
use more brown sugar next time? Next time I'll use more. And it's like, no, it was fine.
When I have family come over for the big family gatherings, I go out and buy a bunch of to-go containers because there's going to be so much leftover food. I make sure everybody leaves
Yeah.
with something.
Dude,
You know?
go to their Halloween party. Honest to God, you're just like,
Yeah.
what the world? Crazy, right? And he has it every Halloween. People, stop by. But it's that way. We walk out with like 6 Tupperware things, you know, like. And he gets the good stuff. He gets like the glad stuff. It ain't like the butter dishes. Like at
You
my
also hand out
house.
the full size candy bars.
The guy's crazy. Shayna got a lot of good comments here. Shayna
Yeah.
says many of the retired guys I know miss the quote unquote fight.
Yeah.
They won't admit it, but it's the spark in their eyes when their talents are called on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow. Well put, Shayna.
so true. And Heather says, I do, Shayna. Over the years, I did very well, but the fun was the challenge. And, you know, Shayna says, I compare the financial misses against a year of college. It hurts less thinking I paid for the lesson, you know.
Right.
And then Eric Bam, welcome in, brother.
Yeah.
Pizza Friday. Eric Bam says, good morning. I'm fired up. I'm wearing bedazzled pants. And he goes,
We already
"Ugh."
knew.
He goes, ugh. Boiled hot dogs and mac and cheese, dude. That was when we fancied it up. That was a special day.
Yeah, that was a highline
Oh,
meal right there.
yeah.
Mac and cheese and dogs.
Wow.
Like, come on now.
Yeah, ate that a lot.
Put that
Did
right
you get
on the
ketchup
dog.
on the side?
No, I put it right on the dog.
Ate that a lot. We were poor.
Yeah.
Problem today is kids think they have quote unquote lack as they're drinking a $7
Yeah, right.
ordered from an app on their $1,000 phone. #perspective.
Yeah.
They don't know
Yeah,
perspective.
Eric.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
get it.
Wow.
So true.
Yeah.
Right. And here's what I love. I don't know who I was talking to, if it was one of you guys, but Lucy, my 15-year-old, has figured out if she gets these apps on her phone and she goes out with her friends who have jobs and do things because she's only 15, right? She puts it all on her app and gets all the points, so she gets free food.
Nice.
And I'm like, brilliant.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
Using the system to her advantage.
Yeah,
Hey,
really.
good for her. Good for her.
The other was this. Some people called it shit on a shingle. We had cream chip beef.
Cream chip
Yep,
beef. Yeah,
yep.
remember that in the budding meat? The budding meat.
and
On toast.
Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Dude, it's funny that you said that because Zachary and I and the budding meat, we were literally talking. I think it was last week. It was last week. And Zachary's like, I remember back, or he asked, he's like, were we poor? And I'm like, why do you say that? Well, now that, he's really looked back at things, like we used to always go to Aldi and we'd be buying all these canned goods and all
white
this.
labeled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
When Aldi was everything.
Yeah,
was
people, you're going to Aldi. What are you
Almost
going to Aldi
cereal,
for?
right?
But yeah, I told him, I'm like, he's like, I never realized it, but now looking back, I mean, Deidre was an extreme couponer, dude.
Yeah.
Like she would go and get $300 of stuff and pay $3 for it because,
Right.
Oh
yeah, private crunch. You don't get Captain Crunch, no.
No, private, exactly.
Private Crunch.
Count Kukula.
Are you kidding me? The Malto-Meal brand
There you
has
go,
General
Malto-Meal.
Crunch. General Crunch, and the General outranks the Captain by a significant margin. Okay, he's calling the shots. Malto-Meal Crunch is
That's
the
right.
best.
But it's in a bag.
He's ranked up. He's ranked up.
Okay, that 5-pound bag of Malto-Meal Berry Crunch
Yeah.
was better than the original.
Absolutely.
Shredded your mouth.
Of course.
Shredded your mouth.
Yeah.
but it was so good.
The rest of the day, your tongue is playing with the
That's right.
skin hanging from
That's
the roof
right.
of your mouth.
What?
That's-
$3 for $3 at Aldi's. I'm not, or Menards. That's the only cereal you could buy at Menards.
They had to get rid of the
you know?
asbestos somewhere.
And the kids were super happy.
You want to go grocery shopping and get your drywall done at the same time?
Right.
Mesothelioma in a bag.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Asbestosis in a bag.
That's it. Don says, as a kid, Section 8 should just mean what part of the cheese you get to eat.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't tell them they're poor. That's right. Don says, when I was a teenager, my dad had a stroke and was disabled, so could not work. I don't know how my mom did it, but it did not feel like we became poor after that. Yeah, right.
She stepped up. That's
Yeah, there's a good story there, Don. Shana says,
Yeah,
it's the
absolutely.
people of light that make light. Yep. Amen to Eric's comment. Perspective is everything, you know. People risk their lives to come to the USA to be poor.
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, the first world problems. Bob says, we didn't know we were poor until the outside world told us, right?
With
so true.
perspective. Yeah.
Not once when I was a kid did I look at my neighbor or the friends who had, wore the nice clothes and go, Santa was a lot better to you than he was to me. You got a what? All I got was, whatever, a gyroscope.
Some hand-me-down clothes for my brother. I thought they were awesome. Perfect coloring.
Yeah. Eric says today, be thankful. Full. Be thankful, right?
Tater
That's
tot
it.
casserole was
Bring
a
action.
treat.
Everybody.
Don.
Yeah.
We still make that, dude. So that just shows where we come from. I love that
I just
stuff.
call them loaded tots.
Call them loaded tots.
Yeah.
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 Just don't change the syllable on that one.
We would do casserole. You get some noodles, some ground beef, throw some corn in there, a little spaghetti sauce, and I had 3 brothers, and my dad, when he was going to seminary, he worked part-time as a janitor at the church, and my mom worked part-time. So you had 2 part-time jobs with a family of 6.
Were you fending for
Yeah.
yourselves, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was, okay, somebody's got to make dinner tonight, and
Yep. What's in the cabinet?
Free for
what
all.
are we having, pancakes again? Sounds
Yeah, I was
good.
gonna say.
Well, listen, so mom was a Catholic school teacher. Dad worked nights for Commerce Clearinghouse. He was a printer, and before computers took over, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he was like, computers aren't going to be around forever, right? nice call, Dad.
Now we got 'em in- now we got 'em on our
And
list.
so the one thing that I don't know if I would say that we were poor. They had some money stashed away to make sure that my brother and I would have some kind of future. It wasn't really anything to brag about, but it was tough ramen noodle nights or whatever. However, they made everything to where my mom, as a teacher, still made sure we had a hot breakfast. It wasn't like grab something out of the cabinet. We had there was a bowl of oatmeal on the table with a piece of toast or something. It was always a hot breakfast, scrambled eggs, whatever it was, right?
Mhm.
And we learned how to appreciate everything.
Yeah, that's
When you have money, you don't appreciate shit. You just kind of like, what's the next want?
yeah.
What's the
You
next
start taking
buy?
a lot for granted.
When you lift up that handle on your sink and water comes out of it, people complain. The younger generations are like, yeah, so what? You guys drank from the hose. Well, the reason why we drank from a hose was because we weren't allowed in the freaking house
Yeah, right.
and we were thirsty.
Get out of here. Get
And it
outside.
wasn't
And so you had a routine. It was just drink from the hose or go thirsty at 90-degree weather.
And it
You know?
and it wasn't even the hose on your house. It might be your neighbor.
Yeah,
It could be
didn't
whatever.
matter.
Wherever you were
100%.
at.
Yeah.
Didn't
And
matter.
and once again, it took a village too. I come from a neighborhood to where my neighbors, if I did something wrong, I got my ass beat by a neighbor before I got to my dad. I literally had a neighbor call my father once while he held me from being an idiot. I think I was throwing rocks out windows or doing something stupid. And he's like, hey, Tone, I got your son here throwing rocks out windows. My father said, start without me. Start
without
with-
me. And Drew's probably like, oh
That's
shit.
true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah, discipline
Yeah.
coming from your community or your tribe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait
And
till
they
your
did
dad
it for
gets
your
home.
best interest. You
Yeah,
did
my
it for
mom,
your
my
best
mom
interest.
probably just started laughing when you said that because
Yeah,
that was
wait
her
till
thing
your
for
dad
me. She'd be
gets
like,
home.
and you, mister, wait till your father gets home.
That's right.
And then, I feel bad. I told him this. I felt bad, day working hard. Once come home and see his kids, he gets in. Your son, Scott, let me tell you what he did,
As we got older, Ma's slapping or whatever, we'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
Right.
And then be like, now that's it. I'm calling your father. It'd be one of those.
Yeah, right.
you know?
You're right. Like, you didn't hurt me. You
That's
can't hurt me. I'm going to call your dad.
That's
Sorry,
right.
Mom.
Right.
Right, but that's the joy of the dream and just staying in there, right? Dream weaving, the old dream weaver. You have to, you can't wait for the other shoe to drop. Life. If you're walking, the other shoe's going to fall, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that happens, but that's the rapids, that's the tide. Those are the things that a lot of people will get punched in the gut and then step out and go, oh. And then the next thing you know, they're homeless or whatever, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't battle the rapids, and they're when you're talking about dreams, it's those dreams. I mean, to take a look at your parents' dreams as opposed to yours. Take a look at your kids' dreams, right? Our kids are gonna accomplish so much, right? That's just the way the world is now. They're going to accomplish so much that all of a sudden it's like, wow, and their dream is our dream, I guess, is minuscule as opposed to theirs. And that, as a parent, that's what you want,
Yep.
right? You want them to win. You want them to understand and be joyful for that. And when that happens, to this, we're talking about being humble enough to be part of our parents' dream. Our parents fought like hell, right? And now we're fighting like hell for ours. And our kids they're gonna watch our example. They're not you can sit there and tell all the stories you want, but if they never see you grinding, if they never see you get home pissed off, tired, exhausted, frustrated, then they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever. Right. And I think when you have to be very, very grateful when you're in that dream, right? Work as hard as you can. And for me, it's hard to see that you're in the dream when the water's up to your nose.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And the world, we had Chris on a couple of weeks ago, and inspiring dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's still pushing to live his dream.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
You
a
know?
fighter, that kid.
Well, you can't. I mean, you can't. No matter what, you can't give up. Right.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to
right.
Chris Pryor.
And that's
He's probably
it.
watching right now,
Yeah.
man. God bless you, man. We love you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's resilience, right? I mean, you got two choices, right? I mean, it's not what happens to us; it's how we react to it, right? It's choosing to fight with it, choosing to keep going on. We do that every day. Are we going to chase a dream, or was the river too strong and I got to get off?
Yeah.
And I'm going to wait until it calms down. Well, it's never going to calm
Never
down.
gonna calm down.
Jesus Christ, at least thought I turned it off, but it's never the water's never going to calm down.
Scott's
It's always
kind of
gonna
a
be
big
that
deal.
bad.
Yeah, he's a big
He's
Kind
kind of a big deal.
a lot of things.
He's got a lot of calls, important calls.
Right there.
Oh, I love you guys.
Congress is calling him right now.
Congress. Wait, I got to answer my email back to Elon.
It's actually Elon.
Yeah, I got to send my email back to Elon. What'd you do today? I talked to my buddies and spent $100K.
Don, a little side conversation. Heather, when my dad died 5 years later, when I was 19, he left money and the house to us 4 kids. Long story. We kids signed over our part of the house to my mom. It was the least we could do. Right. And Heather's like, wow, that's great. Don, I'm sure that was huge for her. And then Don's like, Scott, answer when I call.
Sorry, Don. You got to text me, man.
Gotta love Don.
Oh, I do love Don. We appreciate it.
Oh, man.
God.
So what happens? What happens when you're grinding and you're living the dream, right? And you want to pull one of your friends into the boat with you, right? Things are going well, and you're like, hey man, jump in here. I got a spot for you. I need somebody to row with me, right? I got a spot for you. And then all of a sudden it's not your friend's dream, right? All of us here, I think, and a lot of the people listening, I think, are genuinely good people. We do have a couple of assholes, I'm sure, but right. But what happens, right? So all of a sudden, you pull in a buddy, right? And you're like, I got to give them, they're down on the luck. And listen, all three of you guys are the guys that'll give the shirt off of your back for your friends, right? And then they get in and they're like, I ain't rowing. I ain't
Just dead weight.
I ain't, what happens then? What happens? Do you take, does it ruin the friendship? Does it ruin the relationship?
Yeah, it certainly can.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly could be. That it's a difficult position to be in, unless your dream originally included bringing somebody else along.
Yeah.
Conditioning your dream to include another full functioning human being is a massive overhaul of anybody's dream. So if you expanding your dream to include others. Now, there are people whose dream, teachers, people who want to inspire others for a living. There are people whose dream is to it includes other people inherently. But like if you're planning a business or your dream is to open a specific business, right?
Yeah.
And you are doing it with somebody else who just doesn't have the same dream, or it's apparent that they don't want to fight for their dream is different, or it just doesn't. If there's no way for you to combine or work together in that, and in a lot of ways when two people have dreams that are different, it's very hard to make those work together in a lot of cases. And it could ruin the friendship, or sometimes you just have to know when to stay focused in your own lane. And I think that happens a lot of times in life. You got to stay focused on what you're doing for yourself.
Listen, I think that as long as there's communication, you get in the boat, and and that goes either way. Let's just say it's your dream, you're in the boat, you bring a friend in, all of a sudden it becomes your friend's dream, and then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna row anymore, but the friend will. It's just communication. You got to, if you're gonna do that, that's okay. If you're true friends, you don't let stuff like that ruin it. What you do is you communicate about it and be like, listen, man, it's not my dream anymore. I don't know what you want to do. Let's figure it out. Let's hash it out. But you have to communicate it. Otherwise, all you're doing is taking advantage of your friend. And that's, to me, not right. So
that's also the best benefit.
You could pull the boat over and be like, hey, man, listen, I'm going to let you off the boat. I'm going to drive the boat myself. And that's fine. And if you want to once in a while, jump on an inner tube and sit behind the boat, that's cool too. And you just have to hash it out, man. It's about communication. Lack of communication is where the demons come.
Lack of communication ruins just about every relationship. It doesn't matter if it's business, personal, marriage. If you don't communicate, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But in your scenario, that is the biggest benefit to having somebody else along on your dream, though.
Correct.
So if you do have a buddy and they jump on your dream, and then now the two of you have the same goals, same dream, whatever. You don't feel like rowing, that's fine. You have somebody else who can row. As long as, like you said, you communicate, hey, I'm tired today, bud. I need you to take over rowing for me, right? I'll take over rowing tomorrow because we're rowing to the same fucking place. That's the beautiful thing about partnering up with people that have similar dreams. But as soon as those dreams change, then you got to
communicate. Yeah, you just got to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really tough to bring people in because no matter how much you feel you're on the same page, you're not.
No, I know.
And keeping yourselves on the same page can be done. Obviously, people do it every day, but it is much more of a struggle in my experience than doing it by yourself, right? Because now every decision you make has to be done, I'm going to say with the approval of the other, right? You have to work together. You may have your strengths and differences, that you can both work on, but you have to be on the same page. And that's really hard when you're trying to grow a business and run a business. A lot of people, especially entrepreneurially based, think they know everything. I mean, me included, I think I know everything until someone proves me wrong, right? But it's hard. I'll argue.
Unfortunately, he hasn't found that person.
Yes, I married her.
No, we tell him all the time.
I'm just not listening.
He just doesn't listen.
That's right. I'm just not. I don't want to hear that. But you know what I mean? With that, it's tough because you want to bring that. Because for me, I have people like all of us. We have people that are struggling, right? You want to bring them in that boat, but go, all right, I bring them in the boat. Is that going to hurt them?
Right.
Right. Because you are helping them instead of letting them feel that struggle and go through it and maybe help them a little bit, maybe talking or whatever. But if you pull them in the boat, it's kind of like fishing for them, right? The whole I want to teach them to fish. I don't want to give them the fish, right? And sometimes pulling them in the boat might be a detriment to them.
Right.
Right. And
give them a pair of waders.
Right. Exactly. And, you and I could have the exact same end goal in mind, but how we get there could be such a different struggle, or such a different methodology, and trying to weave those two together could be the greatest thing in the world as long as you keep an open mind and communicate.
Yeah.
It's really hard because as entrepreneurs, we're pretty stubborn, right? A lot of pig-headed. You got to be to do that because you have to be so dedicated to it. So for me, I
think that's just you.
It might be. It might be. Hey, you know what? They broke the mold when I came out. Everyone will tell you that. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
When the mold are two solo cups welded together, I don't know.
A little bit of Bondo on the left side.
You're like a hot dog, Scott.
Yeah.
On the floor that's just put
That's
together.
right. And the mac and cheese.
And the mac and cheese. And it wasn't even Kraft macaroni.
No.
That was the Aldi special.
The hot dog is boiled.
Dark ones you used to get at the baseball.
Dark
field,
yellow mac and cheese.
They're like brown, like a deep brown. It's like, is that really a hot dog?
Yeah.
It was an Aldi special. What are you kidding me?
Why's it got spots on it?
Yeah.
Age spots. It's so old.
We'll call it a sausage.
That's right. It's fine. You're fine.
You're fine.
Brush it off.
That's right. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Actually, that was my dad's first job. His dad owned some grocery stores. My grandpa was an incredible entrepreneur. My dad's first job back when he was a kid was slicing the mold off of the cheese because the best cheese was just underneath the mold.
The mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. They're gonna eat cheese again.
Right. But he's like, oh yeah. And they'd come in and be like, hey, give me that. Get right under the mold.
Give me that piece of
Slim
mold.
as you
Just
can, as
just
slim as you
barely
can.
get that off, so we got just a little residue underneath there. It gives it a little flavor, a little extra flavor.
Right. But I think,
Penicillin.
I think that a lot of people when your dream is realized, right? When all the hard work you put in is realized, a lot of folks go,
Yep.
got it. And then they don't put the work in to maintain, it's not a race, right? You don't know how big that dream can be if you stop.
Right.
To Bob's point earlier is, once you're there, you've got to see bigger. You've got to work harder.
Yep.
And it's amazing to me. And I tell people, and I tell the women that, the young women I coach, I'm like, what happens if you don't achieve your dream until you're 55? You're 19 years old. And all these 19-year-olds, honest to God, think what? Yeah, I'm gonna achieve it, and I'm gonna retire by the time I'm 30, because 30 is a long way away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Or they
Even turn the damn phone.
Don, stop calling Scott.
Stop calling me.
and and what I tell people is this: you got to keep chasing your dream, and someday you might just run into it.
Right.
You're not going to catch it,
right?
But someday you might just run into it.
Well, and it is ever changing.
Yeah, and right now, at the end of a day, I can go, wow, right? Because 216 The Net was created, had a dream to change the world one listener at a time and get big. And then it made enough money and we plateaued, and we were happy with that because it was a hobby and it made us feel good. And we didn't have to put any money into it because it funded itself. And then Drew came along and said, hey, we gotta dream bigger. Now, over the last year, it's been frustrating for Drew because I've been living my dream. Right. I played basketball since I was 18 months old, and now I'm a head college coach, and it's engulfed a lot of my time and effort, which has frustrated Drew because he came in and re-sparked my dream, and he's put a lot of work, effort, grind into it, and he's allowed me to stay in the boat. But now I've got to go. It's my time to paddle, so I have to be able to understand the lessons I've learned from being in my dream to this other side of my dream. Right. So I was just maybe standing in the river looking at one side of the shore when Drew's like over here. Right. And so now, but here's the best thing, his patience, but his directness and his will to chase his dream and allow me to sit in the boat, has been a godsend. And now the way that we've got things clicking here at 216 Creator Studios is because he fucking paddled that goddamn boat for the last year, right? And I mean, look at this place. Look at this place.
Awesome.
And there are times where I go, oh, I wouldn't do that, right? I wouldn't. But I had to realize that I was just sitting in the boat at the time. And he's allowed me to sit in the boat, and has celebrated my dream with me as I've been going. And now, because of the relationship that we have, I'm like, I got to paddle the boat for him now. It's our dream now. It's not mine. It took me a while to understand that and see that. Right. And now, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's thriving. We're pushing in the right direction. We are changing the world one listener at a time in an entire genre that I didn't even ever fathom, right? To where we have huge superstar names going, we want to work with you. We want to work with you. We want, and it's beyond what I ever thought the dream would be, right? And because of his dream and his passion and his patience to be able to go, all right, just sit there. You got an oar in your hand. You're going to have to put that in the water pretty soon. And now I'm putting it in the water because I'm like, I got to paddle. I got to paddle for him. I got to paddle
It's your
for
time.
us.
It's your time now to step up. All the groundwork
Well,
has been laid. And,
It's real easy. I threw the oar in the water. I grabbed some chains and a couple bricks. And it's either you start oring or you're going to go over. That's
put this life jacket on. It's cinder block.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah. It's filled with lead. Keep you safe.
I think it is important to note that Scott's dad said they didn't break the mold. He got a vasectomy.
Oh, I saw that.
That's what I started laughing at.
That's great. Yeah.
I feel like that's important to announce.
There's some wise words right there.
Well, that still kind of broke something. Wasn't the mold?
It broke his spirit. You popped out. He was like, never again.
Damn it.
I probably came out going, let me be.
That's
I've got to be me.
look,
When the better half ended up on your mom's shirt.
here's
you know.
what I love about this topic, man. We've been talking for an hour. It seems like 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, it goes by fast, don't it?
Literally, right?
Right.
And it is a blessing to, and this is what I'm telling people is, just go look up the river, listen to The River by Garth Brooks, because if you're a dreamer, that song is going to inspire you.
Mhm.
It just is, because it is literally everything about a dream. It's not easy, and you have to be able to navigate the waters and stay between the shore.
Well, and the big thing that a lot of them are putting on there is don't fucking, I don't know, is
Don.
Don't Don. Well,
Don.
don't, you know what I mean? Is don't sit back and watch it go by, right? Like you said, when you achieved it, some people do that. I don't know how they do that. I mean, I'll take some time and bask when I finished a project and hey, good, but don't sit on the shore and watch it go by.
Well, when you
Right.
don't have the experience of getting to a certain point, when you think you reached your goal or your dream, you're like, look, I did it. But now you got to maintain the dream. And so you're like, what do I do now? Well, you got to work the job.
You gotta keep working.
That's what you built.
Right.
Here, we were still in the river. We were just tied to the dock.
Right.
When
you guys realize the rope.
We were happy sitting in the boat.
Yeah. Well, you realize you had that little restraint, so you cut it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now you're floating and you're going, well, this side's a little bit better than that side.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew, you're better at paddling on this part of the river. I'll pick it up when we get to the rapids, or we'll go together when we get to the really tough time. And then you fall off a little bit, and that's a good thing. That makes a good relationship, right? A great partnership when you guys can understand, right, who you are, and what you bring to the table and not try to overstep those bounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what will make pretty much, I don't care what you do, life, friend, business, successful, knowing where to step in, where to step out, you know, knowing your place and how you fit into that, right? And not trying to be something you're not.
Yeah. Next week on the grounds is how to silence your phone. It's
Right.
Yeah, actually, I want to take that class. I want to take that. I don't know. I just turned it off.
All right. Anything parting shot? We got to get out of here.
That's it. You know, for me, just keep dreaming, right?
Yeah.
And just don't let anyone tell you what your dream is. Right.
Did you do
right? Don't let the world tell you what the dream is or slay your dream.
Did you do the ad for flowers?
Oh, JH Flowers.
J&H events and flowers. $5 Friday right now. Nothing brightens up the darkest month, and this is the last day of February already.
Yep.
Then a bouquet of flowers, fresh cut flowers. 2 locations, one in Fox Lake and one in McHenry. But check them out at www.jheventsandflowers.com.
Yeah. Great company, great flowers, great people just all the way around. But, you know, for me personally, guys, thank you so much for tuning in every week and listening to our little nuggets of wisdom.
That's it.
Not always nuggets, but they're there, right?
Right.
I appreciate everything that everyone comes out there. And like Ken said, really, we're here to just be a daily dose.
Scott's got a new nickname.
And what's that?
Little Nugget.
Little Nugget. Hey.
That's all I'm
Allegedly.
It ain't even cold outside. Hey, we're going to leave you with this, but we'll talk to you all next week.
216 Creator Studios, your gateway to professional podcasting. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just starting, 216 Creator Studios offers state-of-the-art podcast studios designed to meet all your recording needs. From crystal clear audio quality to a comfortable creative space, we've got you covered. With fully equipped rooms, expert support, and flexible booking options, you can focus on what matters most, your content. Join us and bring your voice to life in the best environment for podcast creation. 216 Creator Studios is here to help you create something extraordinary.